We do like a train going round our Christmas tree. And last year, with the Hornby Railway out of action, while I make the circular railway project, we thought our Lego Emerald Knight would make the ideal replacement. An amazing gift from the boy's great aunt a couple of years back. We've now got it fully equipped with power functions motor and lights. But is it really a train with just one carriage? And wouldn't it be amazing if we had another? As the set is discontinued, the obvious place to go is eBay. And with a quick search with some obvious keywords, I found quite a few, just not at a price I was prepared to pay. So it looks like we're going to have to build our own from scratch. And the first thing to do is to work out what bits we need, which we can do by flicking through the original instruction sheets, which list the bits for each stage at the top, and a final roundup of all of the parts for the loco, tender, and for the coach at the end of the booklet. If you can't lay your hands on the original instructions, you can download them from the LEGO website. Just go to Help, find Building Instructions, and enter the name or number of the set you're looking for. You can then download the PDF onto your computer. This is identical to the printed instructions, so you'll find all the pieces for all the stages and once again the roundup at the end. But don't forget, that's the loco and the tender too, so we will have a bit of a job picking through to find all the bits for just the coach. The main source of the bits themselves will be the online LEGO shop, and we just need to navigate to Pick and Build and Pick a Brick. Here there are several ways of finding your bits. The simplest, to enter the part number and hit apply. In due course, this is how we'll fill up our basket, but for now I just want to find out where the bricks are and what the availability is. For my parts list, I'm building up a spreadsheet, cross-referencing each stage of the instructions, and adding in the details of the type of part, the colour, and the number of pieces I'm going to use. I can then look at the list at the back of the instructions and find the part number, and add that to my spreadsheet. Back on the Pick-a-Brick site, I can also add the set number for Emerald Knight, which gives us a shortcut to many, but not all of the parts. It was here that I found that some had been revised over the years, and the coach baseplate had a new part number, which I can copy and paste from Pick-a-Brick and onto my spreadsheet, just keeping the old number for reference. I can also start to cost the whole project, adding the unit price from the LEGO website and multiplying by the number I need. And after a slightly laborious process, I now have a comprehensive list of all the bits I need and their prices. But here we hit a snag, threatening to derail the whole project. LEGO Pick-a-Brick doesn't stock the brick yellow window frames, and as they are unique to Emerald Knight, eBay doesn't come up with anything either in that colour. So we're going to need to do a little bit of lateral thinking, starting with what was probably the inspiration for Emerald Knight in the first place, the brown and cream Pullman coaches. And here's my breakthrough. What about if we didn't do another standard coach, but did something modelled on that baggage car at the back? Then we can come up with something a little bit different and won't have to slavishly follow the template of the first coach. I'm starting the design of my adaptation by building a mock-up using bits from what we call the randoms box and a bit of LEGO architecture. And with a feel of how it's going to work in 3 dimensions, I can start planning the details and work out how this will be different from the standard coach. I'm doing this on a computer with InDesign, but equally a pen and a piece of paper would work just as well. Conscious that the main problem is the availability of those big windows, I'm basing the design on bits that I know I'm going to be able to get and have seen on Pick-a-Brick. Back in spreadsheet land, I can start editing my list, reducing the number of parts that I know I won't need in certain colours, and adding any of the new pieces to the bottom of the list. And then I can change the name of the spreadsheet. With the slightly arduous task of the list complete, I can start ordering up those parts from Pick-a-Brick, just copying the part number from my spreadsheet and pasting it into Pick-a-Brick and applying. There's my carriage base with the new number, and I could just pick that. Then it's a case of working through the spreadsheet, one piece at a time, searching for the part number and adding the quantity we need. I'm happy to share either of the spreadsheets, so just please leave a comment below if you want one, and we'll work out a way of getting it to you. As you build up the basket, you can check its contents at any time. You don't need to do it all in one go, and as postage is quite pricey, you'll want to make sure everything is on your order before submitting. Of course, I've rather idealised the process for this video, and in reality it was a bit more chaotic, with some parts sourced from eBay and several orders to Pick-a-Brick. But eventually all my parts were delivered and I could start the build. My baggage car shares quite a lot with the original coach, and I can start by building up those from the instructions. Then I can assemble my bespoke section, referring to my InDesign file, which I've printed out. Whilst I used the Triang coaches as my inspiration, I am by no means slavishly following the design, as I suspect they took some liberties themselves. And I've added some windows where I think they'll look good and would make sense in a real coach. As well as the side details, I'm adding a bulkhead halfway through the coach. This will add a little bit of structural stability. And then the baggage car doors. I have to admit this is a detail that I'm not completely happy with, and I may revisit at a later date, perhaps even getting them to open and shut. But for now, they're doing the job. And next, I can build up the other side of the coach in exactly the same way. The rear doors, the ones that do open and shut, are the same as the standard coach, just with a different colourway, although I have kept that cream line down the side. Then I can clip on the vestibule roof. The roof of my baggage car is the same as the original coach, so uses all the same parts and the same instructions for assembly. Now we come to addressing the whole window issue. Unable to source the original Emerald Night windows, I managed to find some cream windows that looked the part, and my intention was to use all of them for the baggage car. But at this point of the build, I had a bright idea. What if I robbed the main coach of just a couple of its windows? I could use them for my baggage car. Then, readjusting the spacing of my windows on the main coach, just by a couple of knobbles, I can fit the half windows at the ends without them looking out of place at all, and both coaches feel like they come from the same stable. The only downside is that the minifigs don't quite sit in their seats, because their arms are blocked by the window frames, rather than fitting into the recess of the window. I could look into respacing the seats, but I want to keep the modification to the main coach as limited as possible, so it's really easy to revert to the original design. You may remember that at the start of this video, our Christmas train coach had lights, and here they are, a neat design with its own battery that you just twist to turn on. They aren't an official LEGO product, but I'm happy to endorse, and I'll add a link to where I got them from. And so with our second borrowed window installed, our baggage car is now complete, and can join our slightly modified original coach on the Emerald Night, which with a fresh set of batteries installed, is more than capable of pulling both coaches. The only question now is which train will we have around the Christmas tree this year. If you've enjoyed this video and found it useful, why don't you check out some of my other projects? And please don't forget to like and subscribe.